G'day folks, Wren here, and I am a certified Boogara. This is going to be the BuzzFeed Unsolved book tag. I first heard about this from Constance the Reader. I was like, yeah, I need to do this because the Ghoul Boys are kind of my everything. I am obsessed. I desperately need to read their book, which is about some of the places that they went to during Unsolved Supernatural, and they talk about things that happened there, so it's all very kind of interview format, but I need to read this. So when there was a book tag that was based off BuzzFeed Unsolved, obviously I had to do it. So I will leave Constance's video down below, as well as the original creators video down below, which is Sarah from the YA room. All of that will be linked down below, as well as the questions if you want to do it as well. I'm not going to tag anyone, just anyone that wants to do it, go ahead. I'm looking forward to this, so let's get going with question number 1. So the first one is Shaniac, a book you don't think is deserving of the hype. Now, I have 2 books for this because, hello, I'm Wren, I can't make decisions. But the first book is going to be Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I did not understand the hype. I thought it was kind of awful. I really didn't like the romance in it. It was not good, and I didn't understand why these people liked each other, but whatever. I also completely didn't care about one entire protagonist's stuff. I was like, cut all of that out and I'm more interested. I also didn't care about the fact that there was just this random like horror movie-esque thing that was happening at the end of it. Like, where did this come from? What is happening? It kind of sucked. And I don't understand the hype at all. The next book will be No Exit by Taylor Adams. I recently read this, tried to read it, but it, I had to DNF. I think I only had like 100 or something pages, maybe, I don't know, but it was awful. I was so bored. Everyone says it's like the best thriller they've ever read. I was like, what are you reading then? Because this isn't good. It was boring. It was predictable. The main character was more interested in about how she would be perceived by the press once this story aired than she was about the child trapped in a cage. So next up is Boogara. Hey, hi. And that is a book that chilled you to the core. It's The Luminous Dead by Caitlin Starling. I could not put this down. I was so invested in this, and just, I felt tense reading it. And just like the tension kept amping up and amping up and amping up. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I wasn't scared, but I could feel the tension, and it was awesome. It is about this person taking a job to do some like cave exploring in a way, and you have to go through a lot of surgeries to be able to wear the suit that will protect you in these caves, which is all kinds of odd. And in the cave, the person in the cave starts to realize that the person they took the job from, that they can hear through a earpiece, is lying to them, and that person is the only one that knows that they're down there. And so there's a lot of like mistrust happening, and like no one else in the world knows that they're doing this, and like that's scary. And then just this whole claustrophobia thing, and there might be things in the cave that are doing things, and it's a very hard cave to survive. And oh, it was so good. So good, highly recommend. Okay, number 3 is SHITFISH, which basically means you're not a Shaniac and you're not a Boogara, you're on the fence, so you're a shitfish. And the prompt for that is a book you're not sure where you stand on. It's Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry. I was so hyped to read this, and then I read it. And it got like a 3-star. Like, I was bored and I kept waiting for something to happen, knowing that nothing was gonna happen. But what I really didn't like was the fact that like almost every chapter, it was like, it would almost leave on a cliffhanger of as if something was gonna happen. And then by the next chapter, it's all fine, nothing is happening. And it was that constant like, every single chapter. And that annoyed me, because I'm like, it's fine if this is just like a cozy fantasy and nothing happens, but don't write it as if something is gonna happen. You know, I don't know if that makes sense, but I was a little disappointed, but I did love some of the characters. So I have put this on my reread shelf because I want to give it a second go. Knowing how it's written, maybe I'll enjoy it the second time around. Who knows? Next up is the classic Hey there demons, it's me, your boy, and that is a book that kept you up at night. So I have 3 for this one. The first one is Darius the Great is Not Okay by Adib Khorram. I love this book. This book is so good. It is a book about depression. This teenager has depression and he's trying to navigate life having depression, and that's really hard, especially when he's so out of sorts because he feels really self-conscious about his body because the medication has made him put on weight, which he feels self-conscious about, and he also struggles with being biracial and feeling that when he's in his American schools that he's too Persian. Then when he goes to Iran, he feels like he's too American and just never kind of feeling like he fits in anywhere. He also has a lot of issues with his dad, who also has depression, so they butt heads a lot all the time. And I've read this twice now, and both times I could not put it down. I had to just read the whole thing. The first time, it did keep me up at night because I had started it late into the day and I was like, no, this must be finished before I sleep. Because I couldn't put it down. And it's kind of amazing. And I really wish more people would read this because it's fantastic. This is also queer. You get like little hints of it in this first book, but in the second book it is 1000% confirmed. In this first one, Darius is still kind of like, this might be a thing, but not kind of trying to label it or anything. But it's beautiful. And just, oh, I want to reread it again. I might. Next up is More Than This by Patrick Ness. This one didn't keep me up at night. It took me a few months to read this, I think. This was one of the first books I read when I got back into reading, and I have not stopped thinking about this book in 4 years. It's kind of about the afterlife in a way. You kind of don't get too many answers in this, which usually I would hate, but for some reason with this, I'm more okay with it. I will kind of say I wish there was a sequel, but that's fine. But this boy wakes up after he tried to kill himself and he's wrapped in all of these like medical things and he's like, what's going on? He wakes up to a world where there is just no one. And it's like the end of the world, basically, is what he's seeing. But there are these things running around and he doesn't know what's happening, and you don't know what's happening for so long. It's really fascinating and weird and gets in your head. It's also queer again, because hi. And just, I haven't stopped thinking about it in 4 years. Next up is actually one I read last night, and it did keep me up at night, and I'm obsessed. So that is The Risk by St. Abbey, which is the first in the Mindfuck series. Did I ever think I would read this series? No. Did I randomly read it? Because Katie Coulson said, if you like Criminal Minds, you'll like the Mindfuck series. Yeah, I read it for that. And I immediately started reading it yesterday. I stayed up until I finished it because I couldn't not. And then I immediately, as soon as I finished, wanted to start reading the next one. But I'm like, Wren, you need to go to sleep. It also took me a really long time to go to sleep because I was just thinking about the book. It was so good. I'm like, why? It's about a female serial killer and her FBI agent boyfriend. It's really good. I loved the gore of the serial killer, and I loved the criminology stuff of the FBI agent and just them two together. I loved the vibe. So next up is WHEEZE, and that is a book that made you laugh out loud. So my absolute number one for this is The Lightning Struck Heart by TJ Klune. Oh my god, I have never laughed this much as I did reading this. It was a time. If you're the type of person that has only gotten into TJ Klune recently because of The House in the Cerulean Sea and Under the Whispering Door, this is not those. Just letting you know. This is not the sweet wholesomeness of The House in the Cerulean Sea. It's not even the mature wholesomeness of Under the Whispering Door. This is sex jokes. But this is a book about Sam, who is a wizard, and he is an apprentice to the King's Wizard. And Sam has 2 best friends, and one of them is a hornless gay unicorn, and the other one is a gay half-giant. They're adorable. And them with Sam, who's also gay, everyone in this book is queer. Just putting that out there. everyone kind of wants to sleep with Sam, which is funny. And then the prince gets taken by a dragon, so Sam is told to go and find him. And with that, the Knight Commander is coming with Sam to go save the prince because he's technically engaged to the prince. The Knight Commander is actually Sam's biggest crush. And things ensue, and it's so funny. Oh my god, it's so funny. Beware, this is not like TJ Klune's other work, but it's a good time. Next up is Mothman. That is a hyped fave. From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Oh my god, I ate this up. When this first came out, this was everything. I can't believe how quickly I read this. Like, I read this physically, and it's large. But this is the type of fantasy I can do. This is about Poppy, who has never been, like, touched or really spoken to, and she's very isolated from the world, because she's the maiden. She gets, kind of taken, kind of not. You know, I'm not going to explain this, because there's a lot of things that you can't explain, because spoilers, but I think everyone also knows about this. It's a hyped fave. I love it. Poppy and Hawk, love. I love them together. It's so good. Next up is Holy Water. So a book that you would protect with your life. I bet everyone who's watched even one of my videos will know the answer to this. Wolfsong by TJ Klune. It's my favorite of all time. It's my everything. I love it so, so much. These two aren't even all the copies of it I own. Werewolves, Found Family, Queer Love. Did I mention Found Family? Because I feel like that deserves several shout outs, because this is the best Found Family I have ever read. And it's beautiful and fantastic. I love it. I will protect it with my life. Next up is Demons, a book you're too scared to read. Now these books that I've chosen aren't like scary horror books, they're just books that I am scared to read. First up is Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor. This is the second in the Strange the Dreamer duology. I loved Strange the Dreamer, I still love it. It's 5 stars. It took me an entire month to read it, but I love it. I keep saying that the next time there's a Final Book support group, I'll read this. And I keep not doing that because I'm scared. Mainly because it's large, I don't want to take an entire month to read this. And with how the first book ended, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this one as much, just because of the things that happened and what happened to some of the characters. One of the characters I didn't like in the first book, I think is going to have a much more prevalent role in the second one, which I'm not too much of a fan of. And just, I don't know. I'm scared. Next up is The Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is a book that many a Tolkien fan are scared to read because it's a difficult read. Because isn't it just like an entire book about trees? I've already seen the word tree twice. And because it's a lot of like history of Middle Earth, and it's a difficult read. I can't even tell you why, but everyone else is scared of it, so I am too. Next is But For Now, This Mystery Will Remain Unsolved. And that is a book you need more from, or you didn't want to end. Of the Wild by E. Wamheim. I read this for my very first Queer or Not book club pick, which was such fun. The links for all of that will be down below. But a lot of people felt similarly that we did kind of want a little bit more from the book, especially because there were over 20 children in this little safe haven and we didn't get much of them, and I think all of us wanted more from the kids. Add an extra 100 pages and give us more of the kids, that would have been great. It's very, very beautiful. I really enjoyed it. I do wish there was more of it though. Next up is BuzzFeed Unsolved Postmortem, so a book you still have questions about. Now I technically have 2 books, but they're from the same series. Pet and Bitter by Akweke Emezi. I like answers. I really like answers, and I don't get answers with these. I mainly want to know how Jam and Bitter do what they do. Where did that power come from? That's really the main thing I want. Where did their power come from? Just that, just give me that. So the last question is Hot DAGA, which if you watch the postmortems, you'll know what that is about. And the prompt for that is a trashy fave. For this one, I have the Four Bears Construction series by K.M. Newhold. This is a queer indie romance series. Like, it's not the most well-written book series ever. It's very gay, love that. And it's really just about these big burly men finding love and all of the sexual escapades that they do with their new partner. Yeah, I love it. It was just such a fun reading time to read all of these, and there has been a spin-off series which I need to read about mechanics. So the Four Bears Construction is about construction workers. Big Bull Mechanics is about mechanics. But it was so cute. In all of the Four Bears Construction books, there was some type of animal pet thing. And the couples were really cute, but like, you know, everything's very kind of unrealistic in this series. But it's cute. I love it. Anyways, that is the BuzzFeed Unsolved book tag. I had a really fun time doing this, and if you want to do the tag, feel free. I'm not going to tag anyone like I said, but I just love the boys. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.